So ready.
Fabulous. Hi, everyone, and welcome in. My name is Julia Flynn Werre, and I have the pleasure of being your facilitator and hostess tonight for Behind the Science. This is a product I have to tell you all that we are going to have so much fun talking about tonight. You might know it by its nickname, BRN or Brainy, but I would just like to call it rocket fuel and one of my favorites. The flavor is incredible, but what it does for us is amazing. And here to present for us, with us tonight, answer our questions about the amazing product that we're going to talk about, Brainy, is none other than our amazing Mary Esther Gilbert. Now, Mary Esther Gilbert has incredible accolades, and you might already know about that. But if you don't, she's someone who has written the book. You know, when they say, I wrote the book on that, she actually wrote the book on our products and gets to come to us and teach us about these incredible products, sharing information, imparting knowledge about each individual product so that we can go out there and sell more. Mary Esther, please tell us a little bit more about yourself, something that you want us to know this week about you.
This week, huh? Well, I think I'm getting more into the groove of producing information and documents more than ever before because I've put this kind of pressure on myself. But I find that I'm just thriving on it. And so I find I'm getting more done than I ever have before, even though I feel like time is accelerating on me. I don't know, maybe it's coming with age or something, but I think other people are experiencing that too. Something's going on here. But yeah, I think I feel more uplifted and more energetic and more enthusiastic. Could be a lot of reasons, but I really fundamentally don't know why. But all I know is I'm not questioning it and it feels great.
I love that. I know what you're saying about the time moving faster. That's one of those interesting moments that we've been having. A lot of energy shifts. It's very exciting. I find it really interesting in those conversations, interesting to talk about. And since we've had such a radical move forward and shift, it's a lot of fun to talk about what we have going on here at APLGO, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
So I would like to start out with a couple of questions about our incredible product, Brainy. I want to throw you a curveball. I want to ask you a quick question because I think it'll be an easy answer. What do you think about the flavor of Brainy, flavor wise?
You have to like coffee. I think it's very unique, and I think it might even fulfill some of the craving for coffee. I think it might be psychological, but it does something to the brain neurons as far as letting the body know, you've got this coffee taste going on here. So that's pretty much it for now.
Okay. I wondered if you tasted the coffee flavor. The reason I asked that is a lot of people say, I don't taste coffee at all. I actually don't taste coffee at all in the flavor. To me, it really is more of a toffee or a vanilla caramel. I really enjoy the flavor so much. I used to love to drink coffee. I don't any longer. I drink tea. But for me, it's definitely more of a caramelly flavor. So I wondered if you felt the same way. But you think it might be a response and a trigger that people taste that coffee flavor and it's kind of a cue to the brain. I think that's really amazing. I love to hear you say that. So thank you for sharing that. I'd like to jump in with our questions this evening because I think they're so exciting. What did you discover about BRN, Brainy, that surprised you personally during your research?
These are such good, unique questions, Julia. I really enjoyed answering them. You should be able to see the document here. Okay, for
Absolutely, crystal
years.
clear. Yeah, this is
Okay,
terrific. Thank you for sharing that.
great. Yeah, I had to enlarge it a little bit for everyone just to make sure everybody can see it. So for years, I didn't even advocate coffee drinking because of all of the bad science that was going on back when. But they were always referring to the roasted coffee bean. But when I did some more research on coffee, I was kind of hesitant to produce something for this product because I thought, uh-oh, it's got, the coffee bean in it. And I have a whole history of research on the coffee bean. But I found that the science on the green coffee bean, the unroasted coffee bean, has so much more to offer. And that's true for any food, when you roast something or you cook something to death, it's going to change its molecular structures. It's going to alter the beneficial nutrients. So the health benefits are great, but the heat process and drinking, black coffee, that's where the health problems start if you drink too much of it. But although the coffee bean itself contains the stimulant caffeine, it actually helps prevent atherosclerosis or hardening of the arteries. And we're talking about the green coffee bean. So the green coffee bean contains vitamin P, also known as flavonoids, and the body converts them to bioflavonoids, also known as rutin. And that helps prevent oxidative or degenerative damage in the body's cells and therefore our tissues that they're composed of. So that young green coffee bean, it helps the liver more efficiently metabolize fats also. So, the more research you do on the green coffee bean, the more you realize how beneficial it actually is.
Was completely unaware of that about the liver, which is really exciting to hear because I know many of us are learning more about our bodies in general, but definitely about our liver and about metabolizing fat and of course visceral fat and things like that. So that's terrific knowledge. That's terrific. That actually is really surprising, I would say so. And although that, like you said, although the coffee bean does include the stimulant, our product does not include that, and our product does not include caffeine. So that is a good thing there to let people know, correct?
Well, we'll be discussing that in your other question. So I feel like we need to wait on to answer that one. Is that okay?
Okay. Oh, yeah, absolutely. If you're going to explore that deeper, that sounds amazing. So, of course, you can see that next question here. Why does BRN seem to affect some people emotionally, not just mentally?
Okay, it's pretty much biochemical. The green coffee bean has all the different fatty acids, the precursors to all the hormones we need to make that affect the moods. It has natural waxes and sterols, precursors, all precursors to the production of all the different hormones. And so these are all secreted by the glands in the brain. And the glands in the brain help regulate moods. So the highly nourished brain is going to result in better moods. And also, green coffee beans have a high concentration of chlorogenic acid, and that's been found to attenuate stress, lower anxiety, and influence cognitive ability or improving how people think and reason. And also, the plant constituents, they influence the release of stress. These are the heightened responses as the result of the various phytonutrient complexes that influence the brain and the lowering of stress hormones that trigger emotion. So it's all tied to these glands and how well they're nourished. So the chlorogenic acid and caffeine, they naturally boost dopamine levels, which enhance moods by having mild stimulant effects on the gut-brain axis, which is that vagus nerve we talked about before in other videos. So it helps to regulate that also. Now, I don't want people to think it's a high caffeine supplement, but we're getting to that.
Thank you for clarifying that. I really do appreciate that. I would say that it definitely seems to be something that it doesn't contain, just judging by what other people have said too. But the talk about the vagus nerve, I'm very fascinated by that information personally. I'm sure there are many other people who are too. So I'm glad you're bringing that up as well. So our next question, which ingredient synergy inside of BRN do you think people underestimate the most?
Okay, in terms of synergy, the botanicals in the BRN not only help improve brain function, its phytochemical compounds, they help control the effects of stress. They help attenuate stress responses so that you don't over respond to stress. And all the while, which stress has been known to negatively affect the blood vessels in the heart and the kidneys. So it also helps protect these systems. So it's more than something to ingest for alertness or staying awake or energizing your mental workloads, especially since all the body systems are so intercommunicating, interdependent. To understand synergy, one must think of the parts. When taken together, they produce a greater effect as a whole, or synergy makes a collective stronger than its separated components. So, a famous quote back from Aristotle in the 4th century BC, 2,370 years ago, he said, "The whole is greater than the sum of its parts." And the holistic health uh, you know, arena always likes to quote that. So when you take synergistic components of one plant, it does great work in the body. But when you combine other um, phytonutrient complexes, they kind of act together. So it's like you're building this gigantic molecule all at once in the body, and the body has many, many choices, many more choices than just from the one plant. So that's basically what it means. Now, I'm going to do this very quickly. I know we're pressed for time and we have a lot to cover, but so let's appreciate the synergistic effects of BRN. So here are all the ingredients, and I just listed just a few. As you know, everyone, I pick and choose only what applies to the formulations. So as you know by now, these botanicals do a lot of other things in all the other body systems. But the asparagus root, I hope you can still see that. I had to make it smaller, contains asparagines. Thank you. So that these asparagines improve heart function and blood pressure. So we're talking about the heart and the blood vessels and the kidneys. The bilberry has anthocyanins, and they prevent atherosclerosis, the hardening of the arteries. They improve vision because they work on the microcirculatory capillaries in the eyes. They promote stabilization of genetic codes in the DNA. So they do not allow any damage from foreign substances that are circulating in the body. So far we're dealing with, the heart and the microcirculatory system and the larger blood vessels. So there's a synergy there. The coffee bean has caffeic acid, and that increases capillary strength and permeability, and also it assists in thyroid function. So we're dealing with the glandular and the flexibility of the blood vessels so that they can carry through and take a little bit of pressure, when you're exercising or when you're under a lot of stress. So the turmeric root has curcumin, and that helps the immune system during psychological stress, and it prevents cardiac injury. So when we're under psychological stress, we're producing a lot of stress hormones. So far, these four botanicals are helping to attenuate stress and help your nervous system calm down and function properly so you can think, right? And it prevents cardiac injury. So now we've got the Damiana leaf, and that has the flavonoids, the phenolics, and the terpenoids. They maintain the biochemical homeostasis during high emotional stress. More support for helping us deal with stress without any damage to the body. So now the ginger has the saponins and the ginsenosides and choline. So they rid the body of toxic wastes, among many other things, and they prevent the intestinal parasites. They're antimicrobial, so it's antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, antiparasitic. They support the brain and the nerve and the muscular movement. So we're talking about circulation, getting nutrients, oxygenation, while it's protecting the integrity of our cells. So now we've got the ginkgo leaf, which has the ginsenosides and the flavonoids and the terpenoids. They protect the structure and function of nerve and brain cells. So anytime we're not properly nourished and we're eating the wrong fats, we're under a lot of stress, the nerve cell, the fatty acid coating that's on the myelin sheath on the nerve cell, which connects to other cells, other nerve cells, and the brain cells, so it protects their structure so that they can function. It helps improve memory and reduce anxiety and to normalize sleep. All right, so Asian ginseng, which is the Panax ginseng, it also contains ginsenosides and saponins. Now, these are different kinds of, even though it might seem redundant in naming these phytonutrients, these classifications, as I've always said, are so vast and so large. There's so many sub-classifications, but I'm just naming the main components. All right, so the Panax ginseng is great for fighting fatigue, for stress, and improving cell-to-cell nerve signaling, and that makes you more alert. And because the other synergistic components of the other plants, they improve your moods. So along with the nerves firing correctly, you're going to have antidepressant effects. The green tea has catechins and flavonoids, and they help prevent heart, brain, and blood vessel diseases and tumors. And you can imagine how much structural support and functional support the green tea offers. And it's also, by the way, great for burning fat. I've always used it to help with digestion and to increase the metabolic rate in order to keep, a certain amount of fat off the body. Magnolia vine has terpenoids, lignans, and phenolic acids, and they enhance the immunity, physical muscle strength, lung capacity, mental performance, health adaptation to overexertion and mental strain. The Siberian ginseng, also called eleuthero, has the eleutherocytes, phenolics, triterpenes, and anthocyanins. They accelerate metabolism and convert fat molecules for energy production. Instead of having a tendency to store fat molecules under the skin and around the organs, and also prevent degenerative effects from stress. So again, a lot of nourishment going on, a lot of cellular and hormonal support going on here. Water hyssop leaf has the acetylcholine, which is an important neurotransmitter, which improves memory, cognition, anxiety, has restorative effects in the liver, spleen, and digestive disorders. This is all science-based, not making any medical claims here, of course, but this is all backed by peer-reviewed science. That about wraps it up for that question, Julia.
That is incredible. I mean, I don't know if everyone else is kind of reeling from this information, but what I'm noticing is that a lot of those ingredients seem to be ones that we have in other products that we love very much. I'm sure everybody else is thinking the same thing I am, like, oh, I recognize Damiana from Power, or I recognize magnolia vine and water hyssop and turmeric and ginseng from some of our other products. It's very interesting to me. I'm finding it fascinating to hear the synergy in this product as opposed to our others? So this is a great question. Thank you for answering that. Our next question is really exciting to me. I'm really excited about this one because this is where I start getting into experiences that I've personally had. What happens at the cellular level that makes some people describe brainy as clarity instead of energy? Because when we first were talking about this product, we were thinking this would be something that would speed us up, and we know that that's not really what happens. We're getting clearer and more focused. So I can't wait till you tell us more.
Okay, I cannot wait to answer this question. This is an excellent, excellent question because people do confuse the two terms. So let's separate clarity from energy. So clarity, and this means that your brain is optimally producing the electrical transmissions or the transfer of information, thoughts, or just the cells communicating between each other, resulting in cognitive precision and efficient information processing without the mental fogginess. So that's what mind clarity is. So there's this cellular communication that's successful where there are no blockages in those transmissions that send and receive messages. So poor nutrition, toxins, poor eliminative or detox processes the body is trying to undergo, fatigue, sleep deprivation, stress, especially chronic stress, nutrient deficiencies, that's a huge one, that's the fundamental one, are examples that interfere with clear thinking. Mind clarity results from efficient production of energy in every single cell mitochondria. That is where your energy is being produced in every single one of our 39 trillion cells. The nutrient deficiencies diminish energy production capacity and therefore brain capability. All right, so I wanted to show you this really cool image. So this is all the things that can go wrong in a brain. So this poor brain is, got some problems, right? Oxidative stress, just degenerative processes going on all the time from malnourishment, neuroinflammation, all the wrong things in the body are causing inflammation, stress, can't handle stress when you're malnourished, impaired connectivity. So these connections are being damaged. So they're coming to a halt. They can't process information. They can't pass down information from one area of the body to another. Reduced blood flow. If you've got clogged arteries, then that's going to reduce the oxygen and nutrient and water distribution throughout the whole body, especially in the brain. Dysregulated autonomic nervous system. So, the things that are supposed to work on their own in the body are being compromised. Immune activation. So when there's foreign substances in the body, inflammation, your immune cells go to work and they try to remedy the situation. But in the meantime, you're getting all of these elevated inflammatory proteins like cytokines going on. And cognitive dysfunction, neurologic symptoms, low energy. So all of that is contributing factors to brain fog.
I have to compliment
Okay.
you on that beautiful illustration. That was absolutely gorgeous. Thank you for sharing that.
I love it. Yes. Now, energy, I love this. Okay, energy, that's produced through our metabolism. That is when as a result of digestion, the food molecules are reduced to simpler components in order to be absorbed into our cells. I think I've demonstrated that in so many other videos, what happens when nutrients arrive at the cell membrane and how they're uh, admitted into our cells to do the work, right? So this process actually uses energy to produce fuel. So in order to produce fuel, we need the fuel to produce the fuel, and making avoiding energy deficits critical for maintaining our good health, but more critically for promoting healing and health recovery. The only way your body can restore itself back toward normal is to make sure it can have the nutrients that it can use to produce the energy to do the work. So, in complete and biologically correct daily nourishment, our cells receive a range of essential amino acids. Those are proteins that are digested and broken down to their basic building blocks so that we can, in turn, build new body protein tissues, new cells, new everything. And the fatty acids related to, all kinds of things like hormone production, anti-inflammatory, all kinds of other things that the glands produce. Glucose, we need to reduce our carbohydrate foods down to the fundamental unit of sugar, which fuels the brain and the cells and the muscles. Everything in the body needs that kind of fuel. Vitamins and minerals, nothing works without our essential vitamins and minerals and the right molecular configurations from whole foods. Water, oxygen, and the release of these critical phytonutrients that I'm always talking about. All the nutrient complexes that we extract from foods, now this is really awesome. I love this part. All nutrient complexes extracted from foods are sparked into action by light energy active foods that have stored sunlight in the form of biophotons. So this is how it all happens. The sun constantly emits massive amounts of electrons into space, along with other like protons and other ions. Nutrients are activated by enzymes, which are sparked into action by photons, those units of lights received from sunlight. Biophotons are captured by and stored in plant cells through the process of photosynthesis. Okay, so stored light energy in living cells are active in their exchange of electrons, which move molecules to do cellular work. So we need the sun, we need to activate the enzymes, we need to make sure that we are transferring that stored light energy via the electrons that are present in live energy active foods, not cooked foods, not destroyed molecules that are processed to heck. I was going to swear, but I'm going to try to sidestep that. But which move molecules to do the cellular work. So humans rely on plant stored energy indirectly by consuming the live foods, and this allows that transfer of their active energy. It enables our cells to drive active oxygen, nutrients, and water into our own cells, and that's what perpetuates our aliveness and our wellness. And here's a nice little picture of you can see how plants store the sunlight energy in their own cells here. I don't know about you, but I find it extremely exciting. So then here's a quick, to sum up this question, here's another cool picture. It describes photosynthesis, how the plants capture the energy from the sun, and they need the carbon dioxide, that they breathe, and the water transport, how they absorb from the water from the soil. They release oxygen, we breathe that oxygen, and in turn, they take in our carbon dioxide that we exhale. All of these processes are going on, these chemical reactions, because of the solar powered cell in these plants. They produce glucose production or carbohydrates for us. So humans also derive energy through a sunlight absorption process in the eyes and the skin. Thought I would throw that little tidbit in there for us.
I
Okay.
have to say, this is so incredibly exciting. I am positive that everyone else feels as excited and is getting little tingles because the question we previously asked was about the synergy between the ingredients, but you were just speaking about the synergy between the plants and us as humans. And that was so lovely. So thank you so much for that. Not to mention the beautiful illustrations that you've provided, but what a lovely way of saying it. That's so wonderful. So, there we go. What are people misunderstanding most about brain health? So, I'm always wondering about about that? What do people not understand, and what is the connection between nutrition and consciousness? And I think you just brought that to us there, but anxious to hear what you have to say here.
No, this is a little bit different. It's always great to look at things from a more complete angle because, I give you a little bit of a tidbit, a little bit of a snapshot of what's going on in the body. But here's another great snapshot. So it's important to know the difference between stimulants like energy, the bull drinks or the energy drinks. I have a whole video on that, by the way, if you want to look it up on my YouTube channel. I break down all the ingredients and all these horrible drinks that are so hazardous to your health. So people think, oh, I'm just going to wake myself up by taking this, high caffeine, high sugar, high nerve stimulant chemical drink, but they don't know how much damage it's doing immediately and in the long run. So the difference between the stimulants and the true energy providing nutrients, as you know by now, it's only food-derived nutrients that will give you that energy production that will nourish the mitochondria in our cells. So ingesting abnormally high levels of inflammatory stimulants temporarily overstimulate or cause the rapid firing of neurons in the brain and the nervous system. And while it's trying to eliminate what it considers to be an extreme emergency toxic situation, that while producing all of the processes, the biochemical processes to get rid of it, that depletes your nutrient stores. So it takes nutrients to even detoxify at that rapid rate. So it's, one of the many poisonous things about it. So stimulants cause the body to quickly attempt to rid itself of the perceived danger as soon as possible. So it goes through all your detoxification organs and all your eliminative channels in the body. So every system is involved. So providing real energy producing nutrients are the only way to produce the units of energy, ATP, which is, with the mitochondria, with its energy production cycle, the Krebs cycle that I've mentioned before, to produce a molecule of ATP. And that is what is the fuel that fuels the work of every single one of our cells. Now, the brain consumes 20% of the body's energy. So people think, oh, I'm going to cut back on my calories, and that way my body will lose the weight. Well, you don't want to cut back too much. You have to nourish the body so that you nourish the brain and all of your organs. Your body consumes more energy from your food than exercise does. So that's how much work it takes to keep your body going at optimal levels. So fueling the brain properly means you're getting a regular supply of oxygen, breathing, glucose from reducing your food carbohydrates, and water. So these fundamental, triad here, the brain needs to have a constant supply of energy. So you've got to keep breathing, you've got to keep nourishing, not just carbohydrates, of course, but once you reduce food to the glucose level, then your body's able to use this fundamental unit of sugar that's quite natural, in the body for every single work that it does, and water. So nothing happens without water. Stay hydrated. When carbohydrates are unavailable or when the blood sugar levels get low, and this is what happens, the liver converts stored or dietary fats to ketones that can be directly used to fuel the brain and other cells. So that's one way. Another way is protein from the diet or your own protein tissues can be converted to glucose through the process of gluconeogenesis. But if you dip into your body's own protein tissues, it causes a protein deficit in the body that affects your organ and immune functions and reduces your net energy level. So you're going to feel tired if you have to dip into your own body protein, consuming itself. So breaking down protein into chemical messengers consisting of amino acids and neurotransmitters is also what keeps the brain charging. So it's not just only the energy nutrients, but your body, because it's well nourished, it will produce these chemical messengers. And so when your body breaks down proteins, it'll produce the different kinds of amino acids, and these particular ones will contribute to keeping the brain going as much as the glucose will. So we've got all these electrical transmissions going on as well, which also is required from the nutrients, right? So it indirectly supports the system's reliance on glucose to do this work. So, I'm going to just quickly skim over these. So The amino acid tyrosine triggers the brain to produce the neurotransmitters dopamine and norepinephrine, and that drives alertness, mental focus, and motivation. So you see, it's not just the caffeine and some of the phytonutrients in the brain formulation. So it's going to work, and it's helping your body break down all of these chemical messengers to produce these messengers to help drive your mental abilities. So the amino acid tryptophan, it's another building block for essential amino acid for the hormone and neurotransmitter serotonin, which is a precursor to melatonin, which helps regulate mood, sleep, and healthy stress reactions. I've got a video on my channel that will explain that a little bit more, or maybe it was an APLGO thing we did before. I don't remember. But amino acids, once you break down your proteins, you're down to the fundamental building blocks. They help repair and maintain your brain neurons, and stave off mental fatigue also. So you keep your protein intake up, not just your carbs, not just your fats. Your protein is very important too. Glucose is required for mitochondrial energy production, as I've already stated. And protein, when you reduce it to the amino acids in digestion, that's the foundation that your body will build all the biochemicals, all the new proteins needed in all 39 trillion cells that compose your tissues in your organ systems. Period.
You know what I just thought of when you were saying all of that was maybe instead of going on a diet, we need to read a couple more books or learn a new language. That'll work on our brain. And if our brain is actually using 20% of our energy, maybe that would help, right? And not just eat
Oh,
a
yeah.
steak, but also maybe read a book or learn something new. That was great help. That was wonderful. So, what connection do you personally see between nutrition and consciousness? I love this question. I think that this is probably a deeper dive and more of an eye-opening question. And you've talked to us before about some really cool things and quantum physics and things of that nature. So I'm anxious to hear your answer to this question.
Yes. Gosh, Julia, I really appreciate this question. So, I've witnessed so many health transformations in people. Yes, it improved their physical health, but it also correlated with these changes, and you can't really measure them. All you can do is see the effects how it has affected people's lives. So somehow, by nourishing your body and your neurons are firing better and your whole system is working better, it kind of elevates the person into a whole new highway. You know, it broadens their perspectives where they might be closed-minded or scared of change. They somehow are able to take on new information and broaden their horizons. I've noticed that over and over and over. Also, it just automatically, improves their self-esteem, their self-worth, their self-image, their self-respect. All of that. I've seen relationships change for the better, or I've even seen couples break up because of that, or friendships, being terminated because it wasn't a healthy, situation. So once a person realizes that they are better than the abuse, then they have the courage to go on and change their lives. And they're always positive changes. I've seen this as well. But those who choose to work out their, in their relationships, they improve their relationships and their interactions with other people. So they can take this kind of new perspective into their workplaces, into other interactions, whatever their social interactions are, or work interactions. So also, I've noticed that people, they tend to say, it's time to make some changes. I'm going to continue on with my life goals with a new plan, right? They make better plans. They have because of the courage, their bodies are stronger. Everything is working better. They feel more confident, and so their ambitions are higher. They have better follow through. They're not going to just doubt themselves as much, and they're not going to just hold back, right? Make the call, make the commitment, do something, right? Just follow through and see it through to the end, to the goal. Also, enhance spiritual fulfillment, and this is huge for me. It seems to awaken one's higher human potential, and it does not interfere with anyone's religious or spiritual beliefs. It enhances them. It makes them stronger. So these are the very, very fundamental and very important changes that I've seen So, as far as the scientific research, it's still pretty limited or it's not available to the public, whatever, in bridging the gap between nourishment and human consciousness. I've seen it. As you can see, I've laid out a few of the demonstration of what nourishment does to human consciousness. So, but the extensive research about the positive connections between physical and brain health, neurobiology, and functional nutrition, those areas of science need to be further explored. So this question that you've asked can lead to personal quests and studies about self-awareness, self-development, that edges on spirituality and esotericism, philosophical, hidden or obscure knowledge, that kind of knowledge that's not mainstream, right? So scientific research defines all this self-awareness as a complex cognitive trait that may encompass metacognition, psychology, neuroscience, evolutionary biology. I mean, there's so many sciences out there that are just exploring this and coming up with real scientific results, very credible, validity. So the scientific exploration of human potential and consciousness spans various established journals. So these science journals, good for them. These journals are publishing, whatever papers are coming out. And there's more and more coming out all the time. I've noticed this in the last, 10, 20 years even. So here are just a few links that I left in here to explore. Frontiers in Human Neuroscience, and these numbers here are just, they lead to all these different links, as you can see. So Journal of Consciousness Studies, more scientific research, Journal of Consciousness Exploration and Research. So this was a really fun question to answer, but it's very, very important in our human development.
Early on, when I first met you, and when you first started talking to us about APLGO and teaching us, you said something that I've never forgotten and that has been a kernel of my interest in our product and my love of our product. And that was, when you feel better, you feel better. When you feel better, you do better. I don't know if you use those words, but I heard it in my whole being. And it has been my personal experience here, what you've just described, since I got here. Because of what you said here, it puts it into words for us. It makes it more understandable. And I can't thank you enough for this. It is so empowering to read this and to hear it from you. And it's one of those things that I think everyone here can agree that the better we feel about doing things and the better we want to feel. It's just so wonderful. Though all I can think of is empowering, but it's beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. And I know we'll go on to our next question. We have a couple more questions. What did you realize about the human body after studying APLGO that changed your entire worldview?
Wow. Okay. Well, I've been studying nutrition and physiology since the 70s, and all along the way, I have felt more and more enriched from all of the research that's been done and all the discoveries that have been done, and being able to apply that to people and seeing that these results are true, that they match what the scientific, researchers have been researching for decades. So it's always exciting to see what else they're coming up with, what else they're studying, right? So I began these studies a long time ago, and I realized that it's opened up a whole new perspective on what it means to be alive and what it means to be a human being. So I decided long ago that's how I wanted to live my life, in total health vibrancy, free of disease conditions, and respecting this inner ecology, this inner universe. It's so amazing. So, I actually gained a new reverence for the gift of life. So, since I had been already doing this kind of work when someone introduced the APLGO products to me, and I discovered, I learned about the technology, and I was already familiar with the botanicals and what they could do. So, when I started writing the book, because I wanted to make sure everyone knew what they had. So I started writing about it. It started out as a little pamphlet, And I should have known better because I'm so darn tenacious and stubborn and, thorough about everything. I drive myself crazy that I just turned into that thick book, right? It took me 18 months to write it, but it was a labor of love. I just couldn't wait to finish it, but I didn't want to rush it. So I was already familiar with the botanicals and all those phytochemical compounds and how they worked. Um, so yeah, I love producing these educational materials. I feel like I'm doing my part, for humanity, for the world, in my little corner here in Tucson. But scientists continually discover new health attributes, in the plant kingdom. There's always something new to learn. So I will never run out of things to share with people. We have to continually increase our knowledge about just how amazing the body is. And, it's ever expanding, health saving, life saving knowledge, and it's critical for the thriving of humanity. Every sovereign human being must have this knowledge. They cannot be ignorant of how their body works. That's why everyone is so sick. That's why people are afraid to try everything and they get confused and they try all the wrong things and they don't get anywhere. So, I'm on this mission and I can't help it. I'm compelled. It's in me, I guess. And I'm sure it's in a lot of you, or you wouldn't be here. We have to preserve our precious, precious genetic code in our DNA and all other species, for our own future and for the future of the all generations to come.
Wow. Can we hear you say that one more time? You said it is a mission. Read that one more time because I just screenshotted it. It rang true so deeply with me.
Yeah, it's a mission that's, I guess, I was born with or something. I don't know what's compelling me to do this, but I feel like if we don't do this, we won't survive as a species. We have to preserve our DNA. So much has damaged our DNA, and those are the instructions of how our bodies work. And thank God, thank goodness for these plants because they correct that. So all of our species, humanity's future, all this for the true health of all generations to come, this is what we have to do.
That is so empowering. Again, I use that word. Sorry, I don't mean to overuse it, but you've just given us such a message there. And I hope all of you wrote that down and screenshotted it because that is absolutely where we all are. This is a mission. So joining you in that mission would be wonderful. Our next
Excellent.
question, which I think it expands on what you just said, who is brain for and when do you personally like to use it?
Because it has naturally occurring caffeine, it's up to a person if they want to give that to a growing, developing child. But any adult who wishes to maintain the full functions of their brain, their nervous system, want to provide the body with the true clean energy producing nutrients without these synthetic chemical pollutants, these stimulants. These people who want to maintain optimal functioning can try the braining. It should be noted that the array of other plant phytochemical complexes in the formulation are very beneficial for the brain, nerve, and other organ functions. As you stated earlier, we've got other plant complexes and other formulations, but these are kind of gathered together in one drop that do specific this kind of work.
It's amazing what you've just shown us tonight on how it all works together. It's not brainy is not just for your brainy, it's for your whole body, right? So
Well,
how
it's
does being
everything that supports it. Yeah.
right, right. So how does it contain coffee bean extract without any caffeine, the stimulant caffeine?
So it's naturally occurring in the plant. However, because the technology releases the DNA of the plant and the energy producing factories and the way cells package energy, it really doesn't even warrant listing it on the product label. It's not like a glass of a cup of tea or a mug of coffee. That's a huge amount of concentrations of caffeine. But the drops contain so many other augmenting, counterbalancing nutrients that it's not the caffeine that's making the brain and nervous system work when you take the brainy. It's all of these other nutrients that I just laid out. So it's naturally occurring in the young green coffee bean and in the green tea, and they contain much less than the mature coffee bean in a cup of black tea, like I just said. So green coffee beans are unroasted, and the roasted coffee beans, they contain the same amount of caffeine by weight. Now we're talking about cups full of this very concentrated, substance. the extracts in a hot cup of liquid like this aren't going to be extracted in the same kind of way that the drops do with this technology, because you've got the plant materials, you're bombarding them with extra electrons, they're breaking open the cells, releasing the amino acids, the glucose, all of these phytonutrient complexes. This is happening at the microcell level, very small level that fits right in through the cell membrane. Some molecules are too large to fit through the cell membrane. That's why we have the digestive process to break things down to that minute amount. That's already done in the brain and the other drops. So when you look at supplement products, they contain all these phytochemical extracts, right? And they have all these other, sometimes they have just isolated phytochemical extracts. It's not going to do nearly what it does when you have all of the array of choices, the synergy of what's inside the cells of these plants that are in the drops. So, the drops, they contain all the extracts of the whole plant. And we're talking about micro components. So this is going to make sure that your body has this proper phytochemical balance. It mitigates or counteracts the effects of caffeine. So caffeine is a stimulant on the nervous system, but the drops contain just what's naturally occurring in one of the botanicals, and it's the green coffee bean, not the roasted coffee bean. So we've got a lot of advantages here. So the person is going to feel more mind clarity, because their nervous system is going to be nourished, as we've already iterated. So I hope I'm explaining this right. There's so much to explain. I'm trying to summarize everything. We have to understand what's really going on in there, and we don't have to worry about these small amounts, minute amounts of caffeine in one of the botanicals, and it's the green coffee bean to boot. I hope that kind of wraps that up. So let's understand the caffeine molecule, okay? Like any other nutrient molecule that enters our cells, our DNA decides how to utilize the caffeine molecule. And that's all, what the body decides to do with it, especially when it's in synergy with the vast amount of other nutrients in the BRN that enters the body's cells at the same time. So we've got this protective built-in mechanism. So the liver converts the caffeine molecule. It breaks it down into 3 entirely new substances. Now, this is where the green coffee bean is very beneficial. So our bodies break down the caffeine molecule into paraxanthine, and that breaks down fats and increases muscle energy. It also breaks it down to theobromine, dilates the blood vessels, increases nutrients and oxygen flow to the brain. And the theophylline relaxes and dilates the airways. The byproducts that are produced as a result of these processes are further broken down and flushed out through the urine. So the body doesn't, retain anything. It doesn't. It just uses what it is going to use, and then the rest of it just eliminates it. Flushed out through the urine. Drink plenty of water, and off you go. So that answers that question, I hope.
Like, it's amazing, isn't it? I mean, I think everybody here feels excited. I actually feel more excited and can't wait to share BRN with more people because of this. And I am absolutely a believer. I have incredible stories in my own life, my mom's life, my husband, friends, people I've met. BRN has been a complete and total life change for me because I had brain fog so radically, and it's just alleviated that. But all the other things that you've mentioned too, I didn't even know about. So now I need to know about this tidbit. What's
Oh
this
yeah, I
snack
couldn't
you
help
have
it.
for us? What's this snack you have for us that I'm dying to see?
Well, I just wanted to make sure that people understood how the drops contain these micro-sized components, that are known by science to prevent damage to our own DNA. So that's what the most exciting part about the APLGO drops are. And our goal is just to protect that genetic code, because once that genetic code gets damaged, once your gene sequences get confused, then you're going to have the disease process sinking in. And thank goodness for the plant kingdom, because that reverses that damage. So I just wanted to let people know that this is how the damage is repaired, right? So our DNA has these codons, or these individual nucleotides, little proteins, adenine, guanine, cytosine, and thymine. So it's amazing how many billions of combinations that these four proteins that are on the rungs of the ladder of the DNA, plus the ribose sugars that compose the structure, um, can vary so vastly. And so that's what makes all of us unique. This is different combinations of these proteins. So now this is important. The body absorbs the individual plant nucleotides and uses those nucleotides to create new DNA fragments or proteins to build and repair the body's DNA according to its instructions. That's how we break down plants into those very fundamental components. Okay, that's how we can use those nucleotides to rebuild and repair our own DNA. So I wanted to show you just the real quick, the different ways our bodies can repair. And they're always monitoring. If you've ever seen a computerized rendition of the immune system working to repair, it's like you're looking at organic biological robots occurring at this micro level that are doing this repair. It's like they know what to do. They're given instructions on what to do and they go to work and they fix things, right? So you can have single strand damage of the DNA, it's lost one side of it there, or you can have double strand damage where both sides of the DNA are damaged, or you can have double strand break clustered DNA damage. So it's going to damage the base here. And then you got the bulky lesion with cross-links. So this is where the confusion is very dangerous. And then you've got the non-double strand break cluster DNA damage. So, we've got all these lesions that occur that need to be repaired in order to support this structure. Okay, so I think that's pretty much what I didn't want to go too much over. I was hoping we could answer some questions if anybody had any. But yeah, that's
Yes,
pretty much it.
that is insanely cool. I'm overwhelmed with, I'm tingling with information because it's so exciting. This part is the part that I know everyone, after now we've learned all this new information, we want to know, how do we implement it and what can we do to share this and who should we share this with? Because we don't want to overshare, do we? We want to make sure that we're speaking correctly, that we're sharing the right information. So thank you so much for this. The 5 sales takeaways. So everybody make sure you're doing your screenshot. This is super important. This is the part that you can implement the knowledge that the most amazing woman that we know, the knowledgeable lady that we know has shared with us. So please, Mary Esther, share with us the 5 basic sales takeaways that we need to know.
Okay. If somebody says, I'm having trouble thinking, I can't concentrate, you know, um, I feel like I'm losing my memory and, all these other things that people complain about relating to their brain and their nervous system. So just tell them, well, it's got the green coffee bean, and that has so many health benefits compared to its roasted version. The roasted version is all these nutrients are diminished by heat. So you want something with the green coffee bean, which is great in the braining. So it also has a wide array of botanicals that support proper brain and nervous system functioning that are not stimulants. And the Brainies botanicals contain all these wonderful plant compounds found to aid immunity, regulate hormones that affect moods, thinking, cognition, memory, and protect the brain and nerve communications. Also, the Brainies antioxidant phytochemical compounds are known to protect DNA from damage and facilitate its repair. You just want to make sure that people understand that it's the DNA that we need to protect in order for the body to function properly. And the BRN replaces any health damaging stimulants with clean energy producing nutrients. I think people will like to hear that.
Sorry, I was muted. I love that phrase. BRN replaces health damaging stimulants with clean energy producing nutrients. That's a one-liner that I think we should all memorize. That's exceptional. Thank you so much for that, Mary Esther. That is just beautiful. I know I'm positive we have some questions uh, in our group here. The first question that I have, which I always have, and I see you're pulling it up right now, if you could share with everybody where they can find this later and how they can find you online.
Okay, sure. Real quick, I really wanted to answer some of these questions. So let me go to my website real quick. Go to holisticchoices.com and you press on APLGO. down here. These are all the PDFs that we do every time. So I always post them here. They go back to 2023 when I first started doing this. And so just as you scroll down, you'll see you can order the ebook digital PDF version. You can immediately download it just by clicking there, or you can click on here and it'll take you to the payment processing. Yeah, so you can order the hard copy. And this is the second edition. And also because the second edition came back, was created before we got the LFT product, I put in a free copy of the scientific monograph, and it's just an example of what else is in the book for all of the botanicals that are in the formulations. So yeah,
You are
so all
one
the
generous You're one generous woman to actually include that. That is so wonderful to have the LFT product added as well, and for no additional charge. That's very, very generous. Thank you for that.
absolutely, absolutely, my pleasure.
So
All
it's
righty.
holisticchoices.com/APL, and you can go there and you can download it immediately, but you can get a printed copy as well. So that's really helpful. That's incredible. I don't know about you all, but the way that I like to use this is to bring it with me when I'm meeting with somebody, when they have questions, when I go to any of the live events that I go to, I always have a copy on hand. I love the digital version because you can search that, and when someone's asking you a question, it makes it easier. So I am so grateful to have a walking encyclopedia. It's like having Mary Esther Gilbert with you at all times. Really amazing to have that. So thank you so much. I'm curious about some of the questions that we might have from everyone. Does anybody want to pop in some questions that you have specifically about BRN, and anything that you would like Mary Esther Gilbert to address for you? I know we have a lot of new people here, and we do have this recorded, which is fabulous. But do you have a question that you might want answered about BRN? All right, we'll let everybody populate some questions. And can you tell me, Mary Esther Gilbert, about any of the most remarkable stories that you've heard of using BRN? I would happily share one. I know that our own Ruth Main, who is here on the call this evening, has gotten some wonderful stories from people, which are available to all of us. But do you know of any stories that are really remarkable that you've heard?
No, I don't. I think that everyone has great stories, but
Oh,
it doesn't get back to me.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll share one with you while we have one more minute. Um,
Sure.
I was at an event. This is a long time ago. I was at an event, and the prize that I was giving away was BRN, and the young woman took it that night. And I had said to her, maybe not take it at nighttime because it might be might keep you awake. But she went ahead and took it because she had to write a paper for school, and she had to write a grant proposal for her job, for her work, for her business. And she was astonished because not only did she get both of those things done, they were so accurate, done beautifully, and it was done quickly, and it was almost an immediate result that she felt. So now we have some questions, and I thank you, Gail and Deborah. I see both of you have questions. Gail's asking us about Alzheimer's. How does this specifically support and help? And what is the amount of drops that you would recommend? And obviously, we know that this is not a cure. This is not a diagnosis. This is not something in that we're not looking for that answer, right? But how does it support someone with Alzheimer's?
Okay, great question. I just did a video on that not too long ago, and the causes of, and this is according to what the scientific researchers have found, the causes of dementia. Basically, it's an accumulation of plaques in the circulation of the brain. So again, we know what to do about, and the scientists also found that certain botanicals will help clear away those plaques. And these are only a couple of botanicals that they tested, but I've seen over the years in my research that a lot of these phytochemical complexes in our drops will actually do the same thing. So this is all scientific evidence based and can be supported, very easily with validation of the scientific studies. So these are all very thoroughly cited. Make sure you always cite yourself so that we don't get the company in trouble. You don't compromise your own professionalism, things like that. So make sure you're always backed by the science. But yeah, the wrong types of nutrients, the wrong distorted molecules that people put into their bodies, they don't realize the synthetics, the processed foods, all of that stuff and the lack of the nutrients, the very nutrients that help clear it all out or help prevent, a lot of this damage. So that's pretty much, what we can say here.
That is very helpful. I do appreciate that. I've had some experience. My mom has MS, and I've seen some incredible support for her, both, well, physically, emotionally, and I've seen her balance improve. And I think it's exactly what you just said. It's the nutrition. It's helping her with the nutrition. It's the whole synergistic system. So I love that. Uh, and Deborah Pringle says that she knows that we're not allowed to claim anything, but she has seen amazing results with Parkinson's. And Cherie Sessions says, I found some women that have found great help with brain fog, with BRN for brain fog and menopause, and ADD and ADHD, and college kids before exams are loving them too. Um, I can say yes. I can agree with that too. I've heard that too. Or maybe I've proved that. I don't want to
Well,
say too much, but yes.
it's in the science, and we presented the science tonight. So you can always refer to this document and quote it and look at the scientific research studies that these scientists have done. They do such heroic work.
That is the word, heroic work. And I want to say that about you as well, because you have done heroic work. Herculean, I think is the word. Herculean level work you've done for us here, which is incredible. Marianne has also seen support for clients of hers with dementia, and she and I have talked about that. So if you have anyone that's in your sphere and you want to know anything, please reach out to all of these other teammates that can share some stories with you and some experiences and what they've encountered as well. And I don't know how to thank you enough, Mary Esther Gilbert, for your support here today as a team, as a community with this information, not just from the physical side, but just making yourself available, providing us with your incredible knowledge base and sharing with us so generously. And your mission, having you state your mission and having a copy of it now to go back to and reread is so impactful for all of us. So thank you so much. Can everyone unmute, please? And let's all do a big round of applause and show our gratitude for this. So everybody
Woo!
unmute.
Yay,
Woo!
Mr.
Yay!
Gilbert!
Oh, I'm
Woo!
so glad. I'm so glad.
Thank you. Yes, I don't think we could thank you enough because this is a tool in our business to be able to share this information and to know that you're there to support us and to help us is just incredible. This information was just beautiful. I want to thank everyone on the team, everyone in our community, everyone in the company for coming together and for Mary Esther for sharing her incredible knowledge and for all of your participation. It's so validating and supportive. And I thank you all for being here. We get together once a month to do Behind the Science to learn more and more and more. And I think tonight's information about BRN was just top notch, top of the rail. It was really great information. Thank you all so very much. And if there's anything else, please put it into the chat. I'll be here to the bitter end. But thank you all and have a wonderful evening. Share BRN with all of your friends and loved ones. They're going to thank you. They're going to come back and tell you how much they appreciate you. Thank you, Mary Esther. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
so much,
you.
everyone. Thank you, Julia, for the excellent
You.
questions.
I love the dragonfly. Bye.
Bye. Much love.
Thank
Much love.
you, Mary Esther.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Julia, you look hot.
Woo, I'm not. I'm cooled off now, but
I don't mean that kind of hot. I mean like hot tamale, baby.
woo, those filters, they do a lot.
Liar.
Good night. Have a good evening,
Night.
Thank you
everyone.
so
Thank
much,
you
Mary
all.
Esther.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Bye, everybody.
Can't
Bye,
wait to see you
everyone.
again. Thank you, Julia, also.
Thank you. Bye. Good night.